In this video, we're looking at the future of farming. So some of the jobs that are coming up or available now that are related to farming in some way. And it's more than just being a farmer and working out in the field. It's actually a lot of very technical jobs out there that are related to farming. Currently, the world has a population of approximately 7.4 billion people. It's also estimated that by 2050, this is going to rise to 9 billion people. That means that between now and 2050, we need to feed approximately 2 billion more people than we already do. Our current agricultural methods are really going to struggle to do this. As it is now, we're already sort of struggling to be able to provide enough food for the population that we have, as well as control the large environmental impact that that has. So science and technology are and will continue to play a big role in helping to address this issue. So one of the possible jobs that are related to farming right now is agricultural biotechnology. So this is often shortened to agri-tech because agricultural biotechnology is a very hard word to say. And it's an industry that aims to use technology to improve the quality and quantity of plants. So a lot of it is about plants, and the scientists, these agri-techs, use a range of different approaches. And these can include anything from improving crop yields so that we get more grain, more fruit, etc. from the crops that we grow, modifying things to make them more disease resistant so we don't have as many issues with that. We don't need as many pesticides and sprays because the plants themselves are naturally resistant. Making pest resistant plants, again tied in with the point before, the less pesticides we have to use and the less damage that we have from insects, the more crop that we can use. Making plants with a higher nutritional value, so we can modify these things so that the average grain or fruit actually has a lot more nutritional benefit than it ordinarily would. And these agri-techs use this technology to modify the recipes, known as genes. So they're actually modifying genes. This is where that genetically modified stuff comes in. They're tweaking those genes to improve the yields, make more resistant plants, etc. GPS steering systems are another thing. I've worked on these myself back when I used to work as an agricultural mechanic. I installed these and I saw these out in the farm, and these were really accurate, even back when I was doing it several years ago. So GPS systems can be installed on tractors so that they can be driven purely remotely, so no one actually needs to be in the tractor, which frees up a farmer to do something else. And on top of that, they're very, very accurate, so you can program in the farm or the block size, you can program in trees, things like that, and you can tell it when to activate certain things, when to start mowing, when to plow, when to seed, when to spray, all this kind of stuff. So this reduces a huge amount of manpower and hours spent behind a tractor when a computer can do it automatically for you. Drones are another one. Drones have been around for a while, and most people know of drones purely for fun or taking really cool aerial photos, but they're actually used in science quite extensively. So they can use these aerial drones to fly over farms and take certain types of photographs to see what's going on, how the crops are looking, etc., without needing to even leave the house. They can also map things, and they can take sensor readings of things like humidity, temperature, etc., and this will help farmers make decisions without, again, having to go out and investigate or travel over huge areas to look at crops. As you can see in the bottom right picture, they can also be utilized for things like spraying, delivering certain chemicals and things like that. You could potentially use them for watering, but at the moment it's probably not the most efficient system to have to power a drone to try and water a crop. Smartphones have also made a significant impact to farming. Apart from the fact that we can take great selfies and we can play a whole lot of Farmville on them, they can actually use smartphones to communicate and check information about soil. There's a lot of really good apps out there that can talk to sensors, can talk to the drones that we just talked about before, and they can use these apps to find information about the soil quality, how much water is being held, how many minerals are in the soil, we can even use things like weather apps and weather sensors on the farm to say, when is it raining, how much water have we gathered, all that kind of stuff. So again, it makes it a lot easier than what we used to have to do, is go out and take samples and send them off to labs and all these kind of things. Driverless tractors, tied in with that GPS aspect before. There's currently Australian and Japanese researchers that have created a tractor that can actually drive itself. So it's still in the experimental phase at this stage. It's not yet available when this is made for farmers to buy, but it's not very far away. In the GPS case that I mentioned earlier, that is a very similar context where we can program the GPS and it basically does do everything automatically, but generally you still, in a lot of systems, you still need someone in it just in case something goes wrong. But there are versions of that that can drive themselves, whereas this case is probably a little bit more confined or specific than just driving around ploughing a field. So Seaweed is actually a potential solution. So one of the issues we have is that we've got this vastly growing population and we don't have a means of feeding them, or we're struggling to find a way that we can increase the amount of crop, etc., to support the growing population. So in this video, which is a snippet from the 2040 documentary, they talk about the benefits of seaweed and how it can actually contribute to this food crisis.
Until recently, large seaweed forests ran along many of the world's coastlines. They provided habitats for marine life, local food and jobs, and made for terrific fake beards. But with most of the heat from global warming going into our oceans, much of this seaweed has been wiped out, including 95% of kelp along the east coast of Tasmania. But there is a solution. Scientists have discovered a way to regenerate the seaweeds. They pump cooler, nutrient-rich water from the deep ocean and disperse it over a seaweed-growing platform near the surface.
Seaweeds actually draw down carbon dioxide from the ocean waters, and they restore the alkalinity of the ocean that enables shellfish and other creatures to thrive.
Apart from restoring ecosystems, seaweed could also play a crucial role in reversing global warming.
Well, this is an example of brown seaweed. The fastest brown seaweeds will grow a half a meter per day.
Hang on. Half a metre a day?
Half a meter a day, and they'll grow over 50 meters long.
Is that one of the fastest growing plants in the world?
It is the fastest growing tree on the planet.
Wow, okay. So that's why the understanding of that it's going to be pulling carbon out of the atmosphere very quickly,
yes,
because it grows so fast.
Thousands of tons of carbon per square kilometre per year.
But this humble weed has even more to offer. Seaweed is good for food, fertiliser, biofuels, plastics, healthy omega-3s, fibres for clothes, nutraceuticals, for feeding to cattle to lower their methane, and of course, fake beards. 2040 is collaborating with the Climate Foundation, the University of Tasmania and the Intrepid Foundation to launch Australia's first seaweed platform in Storm Bay near Hobart. But we need your help. For every $1 you donate today, the Intrepid Foundation will match that $1. So together, we have an opportunity to make Australia a world leader in this exciting climate solution. So donate now and help the regeneration.
Well, I think he's onto something there about the beards. I think that's quite a plausible solution. Certainly for me, I struggle to grow a really good-looking beard. Generally, just look pretty gross. So, yeah, I'm on board. Let's go. Let's get the seaweed beards going. All right, so this is basically a summary of some of the great advances in technology to do with farming and food supply. And again, as mentioned, some of the advances in technology and skills and possible jobs that for your generation you may be considering in the future if the environment and particularly agriculture or food supply is something that you're passionate about. So continue on to the next video and we're going to start looking at the alternative foods poster. So in this task you're actually going to create a bit of an advertisement poster for a food that people could be eating that's better than maybe something that we currently are eating.